Good morning, boys and girls. Happy Friday. Glad to be here with you all. Today we're going to use some of the vocabulary skills that we developed yesterday and apply that to a little bit of practice analyzing some data. Okay, yesterday we talked a little bit about scatter plots and some of the different terms that we're going to use as we study scatter plots and analyze bivariate data. Right now you can see on the left-hand side it says you should have a pencil and line paper. The top of your page should look like this. You should have your name and date. You should write scatter plots and correlation so that you can organize your thoughts and ideas in your math notebook. And highlighted in yellow there, it says you should pause the video so you can work the problems out with me. Make sure you're doing that, okay? I'm going to go back to this slideshow that's in your Google Classroom, okay, and we're going to look at some of this. We're going to look at the relationships between data by studying correlation, okay? Correlation is how we view the relationships between those data, okay? Yesterday we talked about bivariate data. That means there are two variables. That means there's an x and a y-axis, okay? I'm reading from the steps over here. Bivariate data explores the relationship between the two variables, okay? So we've got a y-axis and we have an x-axis. We have an x and we have a y. Okay, there are two variables that we're looking at in each of these relationships. Okay, now scatter plots. Scatter plots, they graph the relationship between two sets of data. Okay, these are all scatter plots, all three of these, three examples of scatter plots over there. And then each one of them shows a different idea about correlation. Okay, the first one here is positive correlation. All right. Now we need to look at this graph in a little bit closer detail. What we know about the coordinate plane is that as we go this direction on the y-axis, we're increasing our value. Okay, and as we go, let's see here. As we go this direction on the x-axis, we're increasing that value. Okay, so this could be 100 over here, and this could be 100 up here. Now on this graph, if I take a ruler and I try and draw a line right through the middle of all these points, you guys might remember one of our words from yesterday was line of best fit. Okay, it basically shows the average. It shows the trend in that data. Okay, and the correlation here is positive because I'm going to highlight, let's see, in green down here, I'm highlighting a point in the bottom left corner of that coordinate plane, okay? And if I look at my y-axis and I look at my x-axis, and I said 100 was way over on the far right on x and 100 was way up top on the y, well, I would say that that point is, approximately at 10x and 10y. Now, if I highlight another point, if I highlight a point up here, up top, a yellow one, okay, and I look at the x-axis and I look at the y-axis, okay, my value there is, let's say x is about 100 and y is about 90. Okay, so from green to yellow, my x values go up and so do my y values. So if x and y both increase or decrease, if x and y increase or decrease together, if they're both increasing or decreasing, it's positive correlation. If x and y increase or decrease together, it's positive correlation. It is an example of it is positive correlation. Remember, pause the video as you need to. Write these ideas out. Okay, make them complete thoughts. Connect these ideas. Make it solid. Now, I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna outline negative correlation. Okay, I'm gonna go a little faster through this one. I'm gonna take my ruler and I'm gonna try and draw a line kind of right through the middle of all those points. Equal number above and below, as many on the line as I can. That's pretty close. Okay, my y values are high up here. This is a low x value. High y value, low x value. Okay, so this point in red right here, we would call that, like, I don't know, let's say 100x is over here. So that's 10x. And it's 100y. So that's the ordered pair that represents that red point. Now if I make a gold point down here on the other end of the line, okay, we would say that's like 95x and, I don't know, 15y. So as my x values go up, my y values go down, okay? If x increases as y decreases, or vice versa, that means we're the opposite. It is negative correlation. Okay, so as my y values are getting lower, my x values are getting higher. That's a dropping line. Okay, when we go down, we generally think of negative. When we go up, we generally think of positive. So just remember that with positive and negative correlation. Now, as we look at this last coordinate plane over here, as we look at this last one, we can see that there are points all over the place, okay? First, I'm going to highlight in red. I've got a really high y value with a low x value. I also have a really low y value with a low x value, okay? Then if I highlight in gold over here, I've got a high y and a high x. I've got a low y and a high x, okay? So there's really no correlation. I could say this is like 75 and 75. And I could say this is like 75 and 15. And I could say that this is like 15 and 15. And I could say this is like 70 and 10. Right, so there's no correlation. High y, low x. Or high y, low x, low y, low x. Right? So there's no correlation. There's no relationship between the data. And that's correlation, positive, negative, and no correlation. So now let's look at some IXL. Let's get a little bit of practice. Let's see here. Okay, does the scatter plot show a positive trend, a negative trend, or no trend? Now, I can look back to my examples if I don't remember what those mean. Right? You can look back, I think, right here. Okay? Which one of those graphs looks most like what we're looking at here? I'm going to go back here. Okay. I've got a point right here and a point right here. Y values are low and high. X values are both low. If I go over to the far right, I've got a low Y and a high Y, both with very high x values. This is no trend. There is no trend in this data. The points are all over the place. Okay, so I'm going to submit that. And over here, again, I sort of have points all over the place. Okay, x and y are, there's no relationship between the data. I'm going to say no trend, and I'm going to move on. Okay, On this one, it's not super obvious, but there's definitely a trend in this data. If I take a ruler and kind of throw it on there and try and get about an equal number of points above and below the line, and draw a line of best fit through there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 below, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 above, 6 above, 7 below. Pretty good. And the line starts high on the Y and goes down, and it starts low on the X and goes up. So I've got a negative and a positive. So that's a negative trend. It's going downward, negative trend. Okay. And then on this one, kind of the same thing. Okay, if I look at that, it's trending from high on the left to low on the right. I'm going to call it negative and check it out. And if I get them wrong, then I'm just going to look at my explanation, because they give really good explanations. It says you answered positive trend. A scatter plot shows a positive trend if Y tends to increase as X increases. It shows a negative trend if Y tends to decrease as X increases. Okay, and all you have to do is look at the values on the graph to see what's going on. That is a negative trend. Okay, so then you move on, you say got it, you move on. Hey, that one is trending upward. I'm going to call that positive and go. And that's it. Okay, another positive trend, submit. Hey, I really don't see anything there. I'm going to say that's a no trend. And a no trend. And I'm going to call that negative. Points everywhere. No trend. No trend in the data. Okay, challenge on. Hey, nothing different. It's all the same. Boys and girls, if you have questions with this, if you have problems you'd like to work out together, I'm here for you. Okay? Meet me in a Zoom meeting at 2:30 and we'll work it out. If I don't see you there, I hope you have an amazing weekend. And I look forward to seeing you all soon. Adios.